Today, I've taken 3 Benchmades with me on a hike. The hot and sassy Mini Crooked River, the loudmouth outcast of the family, the Freek Super Freaky, and new to the family, the Grizzly Ridge. And the reason I've taken all 3 of these out on a hike with me today is because I really want to discuss which one of these 3 knives would be best for the outdoors. And so we're going to run all 3 of these head to head against each other. You may be into hunting, camping, backpacking, outdoor adventures, whatever they may be. And these 3 knives definitely have a feel and kind of a design for the outdoors. They're kind of pitched that way, but I want to really discuss which one would be best for you on your next outdoor adventure. So we'll be breaking these 3 knives down. I will also be talking in concept with some EDC around town ideas, but really keeping in the vein, how does the Grizzly Ridge and these 2 other knives really compete, and which one is going to be that right tool in the outdoors for you. So let's go ahead, break these 3 knives down and see what this family of Benchmades have to offer.
Okay, so we're going to look at the axis lock and deployment and thumb studs and centering here. And something I want to point out right out of the gate is I just noticed this as I've been playing with these and messing around with these for several weeks now. But the axis lock levers here are the most recessed in on the Grizzly, which for particularly outdoor use, I'm not a huge fan of. You can see they're almost flush with the body, whereas on all of the other ones here, you can see that they are protruding more on the other 2 that we're looking at today. So which means that it's going to be easier for you to grab these right here. So when you deploy it and then it comes time to disengage and close the blade, particularly if you have gloves on, you know, whatever, however, it's going to be easier for you to purchase the Freek as well as the Mini Crooked versus the Grizzly Ridge, which you can absolutely do it. It's not like it's not there or something, but it's a little bit more flush. And I do now, after noticing this, have realized that I do sometimes slip and miss it, and then have to really think about what I'm doing, squeeze extra hard to then disengage. So that is something kind of interesting that is more recessed in. Now the axis lock in general is an awesome lock. I really like it a lot. You do have that lock bar piece right here, so that moves super solid. Little bit of wobble right and left, none up and down. Makes it really easy for you to swap this guy, deploy it. Those orange thumb studs on the Grizzly Ridge are pretty sweet and definitely give it a cool flair that the other 2 siblings are not going to have. Very easy for you to purchase. The centering on the Grizzly Ridge is really nice, and you're not going to get anything different on these other guys except that they just won't be orange. Very easy for you to purchase, deploy, you pull, you close it up. This guy seems to be a little bit tighter. There we go. Give it a little bit more of a wrist flick. Same with the Freek. Very easy to purchase those thumb studs, disengage, close that bad boy up. Great centering on all 3 knives. So really the only determining factor is going to be that recessed axis lock. For everyday carry use, you're probably not going to notice it too much. Out in the woods, outdoor use, like we're talking about in this video, you might notice that on the Grizzly Ridge as a problem. Okay, so blade and blade shape performance is going to be a major issue with our decision making here and your decision making here today. And not just talking about outdoor, but also EDC. I will be running in footage of both and talking in both concepts, but definitely, you know, outdoor being the main idea with this video. So 3.5 inches overall. You're looking at probably about 3.4 on the actual cutting edge on the Grizzly Ridge. You do have a slight recurve, massive belly right here, pretty snub nose on the tip. I found that out of all 3 of these knives, it'll be the hardest to pierce packaging, different things like that. That would be a positive with particularly game processing. So if you are thinking about using this as a hunting knife, that's going to be a positive. That will be a benefit compared to these other 2 knives. That's not as easy to pierce, you know, guts, intestines, you know, that type of thing, which is a good thing. The downside is, again, EDC use. I had to put a lot more pressure than these other 2 to puncture packaging and that type of thing. So something to consider there. S30V steel. All 3 of these will have S30V steel. Fantastic steel, great edge retention, easy to sharpen in the field from what I have seen and done with S30V from Benchmade for years. I've had other S30V. I would argue S30V as an example from Spyderco is a little bit more difficult to work with. This just must have a finer graining or something heat treat possibly. That just makes it a little bit easier for me to tune up in the field. It's not going to be like 1095 or 420 high carbon. You're definitely going to have to have a good resharpening kit, but you can do it. The recurve though could be daunting for some people. It's not super aggressive, but it is there. Ceramic rods are really easy to tune up this type of blade. You may have to have a little bit more skill, if you got a burr or bad damage down here, something to consider. It does have a 90-degree spine, so you could definitely throw sparks with that. We got double jimping, again, kind of adding to that hunting concept, so you could pinch the blade and put your index finger right up here, have something to kind of rest on and guide your cut strokes. So that's nice that it offers that, and it's going to be 1/8 of an inch thick overall on the blade thickness. Saber grind, I've read some things that say hollow grind. I don't even know if Benchmade's ever made a hollow grind knife. I'm sure they probably have one or two. All these knives are saber grind from everything I'm looking at, and particularly these two I know. This one, if it is a hollow, it's the shallowest hollow grind I've ever seen in my life. So just something to consider there. But with all the use that I have with this guy compared to the other two knives here on the table, which I've also used extensively, what I found was that I honestly wasn't super impressed with its performance. Maybe for purely hunting, but I'm not a hunter. I used it for feather stick making, cutting, carving, notching, paracord, rubber, all the different things, cardboard that you would use, and food processing, not hunting necessarily like skinning, but cutting vegetables, cutting fruit, cutting meat, that type of thing. If you were doing that around a campsite, backpacking, camping, whatever, took this on our backpacking trip, it's not my fave. And what I found was that the Freek, because of its really broad blade, much higher saber grind, and a little bit better, angled tip, just seemed to do a lot better with all the tasks that I just listed, regardless if it was for EDC or regardless if it was for outdoors, food prep in particular, because of the broader, higher blade, much more like a full flat like you'd find on most of your cutlery and your, kitchen block. It's going to perform better in that regard for like outdoor use in that regard, carving, whittling, and food prep around the campsite. And then finally over here, the mini crooked river is going to have, again, that saber grind, but very similar saber grind in the sense of height to what the Benchmade Grizzly Ridge offers, but we do have this really nice precision clip point here, and we do have a little bit different belly. Again, no recurve on either of these other ones here. Really thick clip, so it's not like weak or anything like that. So it's great for EDC tasks. It did really good with most carving, whittling. I think it was partly just that recurve area was causing a little bit of a tricky spot for me with carving and whittling in particular. It's not going to do great with food prep, the saber grind, compared to the Freek. The Freek is going to be much better at food prep, cutting vegetables and fruit and meat, that type of thing. So I would say that this is definitely best at EDC, second best, for outdoor. Outdoor, I just wasn't really seeing a lot of good success with that in the EDC because of the snub nose and just some of the other things that I'm seeing here. It's just either doing as good as the Crooked River or even lagging in some precision aspects to the knife. So it's not really proving itself to stand out compared to all three that we're looking at here on the table. The one that overall performs the best in blade performance that I'm finding is going to be the Freek because of its higher grind and broader blade and good balance of a precision tip without going overboard and being so precise like on the mini Crooked River. So we're going to hit price as well here. Now we're going to have links in the description below over to Blade HQ, Amazon. Really appreciate it, you guys, when you use the hyperlinks for any gear that you see or that you want to purchase that we talk about, regardless if it's in that particular video or not. When you use those hyperlinks, we get a small kickback, helps me get out there. Buy the knives that you see here. All three of these knives have been purchased here by the channel through the kickbacks that we get because you guys purchase stuff. So really, you purchase these in a way so that I can give you content like this and help you make wise decisions on your next purchase. And so price point wise, we're looking at very similar prices with the Grizzly and with the Freek. About 125 for the Grizzly, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. 120 would be the lowest. About 120. Sometimes you can find it for a little bit less for the Freek full size. So very similar, 120 bucks. You're getting great USA made quality, Benchmade, S30V steel, fantastic steel. It's going to hold a really good edge. Great fit and finish, no complaints there. Now, the Mini Crooked River is going to be way more expensive at about $185 to $190. So way more expensive for the exact same blade steel. You're just paying for more aesthetics and more options in the handle and just some of the materials going into it. Now, don't get me wrong. If you ask me, bro, what's the coolest knife? By far, the Mini Crooked River out of all three of these. This is by far the coolest knife on the table and arguably the coolest knife I have in my collection. And still very good performer for a lot of tasks. But when we're talking about, again, the woods, really the price is a major factor. And then as we've talked about throughout the video, blade, handle is going to really dictate which one's going to be the best for you for the outdoors or for, you know, around town as well, depending on how you're going to deploy the blade. So we did a video a while ago on top 5 outdoor pocket knives, and one of the things that I really hammered home in that video was handle ergonomics. You look for something different in an outdoor folder that you do when it comes to handle ergonomics that you do with, say, an EDC knife, a gentleman knife, a tactical knife. There's just something that you have to have, and it's the ergonomics have to be sweet. They have to feel comfortable, they have to give you good grip, and they have to be something you're willing to hold for an extended period of time. So that's what we're really looking at with these 3 knives. And so with the Grizzly Ridge here first, we got some cool contrast here with the kind of gray, tan, and the bright hunter orange with the matching thumb studs. And then we have the backs, the orange standoffs as well back here. And we have a really nice cut in, so that's really going to lock me into place with my large size hands, as you guys know. So it's not going to cause any sort of issues there. I got a really good lockup, a good little batch of jimping right here that's not over aggressive or anything like that, but I'm not going to accidentally slide up and hold and cut myself. But I am close enough to the blade, unlike some other knives out there that you might be really far away, so I still have really good control over the knife. Then what we have here are pretty blocky, but rubberized with then G10 kind of polymer. I don't know if it's G10 or polymer inserts here that give you some more texture. This has a really good rubberized feel to it on top of stainless steel liners that have been milled out, as you guys probably see in there, which is going to make this weigh 3.77 ounces. And got a good lanyard hole right there. So really no hot spots to speak of. Really good lockup, feels good in the hand, but it's a little squared off. That was the one thing I noticed, is that it's pretty square. There aren't a lot of contours once we hit the angles. You know, the angles are contoured, but then the flats are pretty flat. So it is something that I noticed when I was using the knife. The other really good aspect is that with the resistance and the texture here, I backpacked 5.5 miles one way, then did, you know, multi-day hiking and all that type of stuff around the campsite, and then backpack back down. Never did I once even worry about losing this. This is going to be solid and rubberized in your handle, really grip, or excuse me, in your pocket. It's really going to grip your pocket really well, which is a positive when you're trekking and walking around. EDC carry around town, you really got to force it in and out of your pocket. So that's just something you got to kind of weigh. For the outdoors, it's great. For EDC, it may not be the best. Now, the Crooked River, guys, is like elegant to the max, cool to the max. You know, we got, I believe, aluminum standoffs up here near the bolster, orange highlights. We have a dyewood up here, really cool, has that orange as well. Really feels nice and comfortable in the hand for most tasks, but zero traction, and there isn't quite the milling on the angles that I would have liked to see. So I'm just gonna come right out and say it. For EDC tasks, around town, that type of thing, for some quick cuts out in the woods, it's great. This is not the knife I'm gonna pick to go out in the woods with the handle ergonomics. It doesn't have the traction, the grip, and the contouring that I'm going to be looking for. The positive is that it is the lightest out of the whole batch at 3.2 ounces compared to like 3.7 for the other 2 knives. So it is lighter weight, but also the pocket clip, you know, is going to not have, it has good retention, but it's just a slick material, which is great, again, for EDC around town, going to the office, going out to dinner, you know, working in the backyard maybe, whatever, but it's not going to be ideal for hiking, camping, backpacking. I would be somewhat concerned that I might bump this just with movement and stuff and cause it to fall out of my pocket, and then I lose almost a $200 knife on the trail. So for me, guys, ergonomically, handle design wise, the Mini Crooked River is not going to win in this competition when we are discussing outdoor use and which one's going to be the best for outdoor use. EDC around town, it's going to be the best. Now finally to the Freek, and you might wonder why I left it for last, because I left the best for last. When it comes to ergonomics, I believe this is the best ergonomic knife of all three that we're looking at here for outdoor use in general. It has that rubberized material similar to what we have here on the Grizzly, but even has some ribbing, which gives it even a little bit better traction and feel in the hand. Then we have that same kind of diamond cut texturing of a harder polymer in there. Same, on each side there. It's going to really grip in your pocket like the Grizzly does. It will be somewhat of a chore to pull out quickly or to put back in your pocket without really jamming it, because the rubber does grab onto the sides of the knife, or excuse me, of your pocket. So that is something to consider. But it is going to be the largest, fullest handle of the batch. You can just see there, and it's going to have the most contouring. You can see that it's really full and rounded, looks almost like a broomstick kind of, which is what you want in an outdoor knife. I can hold this Freek all day long, and it's never going to cause any hot spots. It's not going to cause any pain. It fills out my hand really well. It gives to my squeezing, really contouring to what I am doing. I'm still close enough. I'm not as close as I am with the Grizzly or with the Mini Crooked, but I'm close. It does still give me that really good cut in right there. I still have that really nice jimping and even a little bit of a thumb ramp right there. So I'm really locked into place, but it's just going to give me the real estate that I need, as well as the grip and contouring that I would want for extended cutting tasks out in the woods, regardless if I'm food prepping, carving, whittling, making notches, triggers, traps, because my fixed blade was lost, broken, damaged, it's too big, whatever. It does not have steel liners in there, unlike the Grizzly, so that's something to take into consideration. I've never had a Benchmade break on me. I know that that means it's not quite as strong, but you really have to like stomp on it against a rock, jump on this thing, or drive over it with a truck for it to be damaged in that way. But when it does come to just the overall feel in your hand, I gotta say that for outdoor use in particular, the Freek is gonna win.
Well, she might be beautiful and elegant, but the Mini Crooked River is not going to be the knife that I take on my next outdoor adventure. But it is the knife that I would take into my next hostile takeover of a corporation meeting, or a night out on the town with Mrs. GT. And though I feel the Grizzly Ridge would be great to process game with, after my kill, I would have to put it in my pocket and probably never pull it out again, because I don't feel like it excels at any other outdoor task. And so Mr. Loudmouth himself, Rick James, is the one that is going to be the winner, and the one that I would choose out of these three on my next outdoor adventure. And it can excel at most tasks around town as well. So it's hitting that double whammy that these two other knives that we've looked at today just can't hit. And I think it is a freak in every task, and that's why it's a super freak. So I hope you've had fun on this video adventure and it's been informative for you when you are looking at these three Benchmades that have the idea of the outdoors, and which one, in my opinion, really is top-notch and excels not only when you're in the outdoors, but also is going to be a great EDC blade for you as well without breaking the bank. Guys, thank you so much for joining us today. Please subscribe, comment, like, share this video. Love to hear your guys' thoughts. Any questions you have, I'll answer in the comments below. If you're a current subscriber, you rock. Thank you so much for your support. If you're watching this video for the first time, you're not really familiar with the channel, we're throwing up videos like this every single week. I'd invite you to subscribe and become part of the GT family. And guys, finally, always remember, stay equipped, stay prepared, and we'll see you out there.